Welcome, Solara here. I want to welcome all of the newest additions to this community. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you to those of you who are coming back. I'm doing a bit of a late reading tonight. I've had a message brewing in me for a couple of weeks, and it's been coming to me in pieces, and now the pieces are coming together more and more. And there's a part of me that has been very reticent about coming on here today and delivering this message, which helps me, not helps me, but it makes me, it helps me to see that maybe the reason why I'm feeling that way is because there's pushback against this. There's pushback against this, and the reason why I would say there's pushback against this message coming out is because this has occurred in more ways and to more people than we have awareness. I'll start off with a dream download I had. It was a few weeks ago, and it was sometime in December, I want to say during Sagittarius season. A lot came out during Sagittarius seasan. Sagittarian energy is the energy of the truth doer. So Scorpio energy comes to reveal what is hidden, and Sagittarius energy is the way we take that knowledge and that wisdom and we act. As such, the Sagittarius energy in the tarot is the temperance angel. And you might have heard other readers refer to that angel as being like an earth angel, like a Sagittarian energy of the earth angel in the major arcana. But it also, if you break down numerically Sagittarius and you break it down numerologically, it actually breaks down to 144. So there's very strong 144 frequencies attached to Sagittarian energy and Sagittarius season. And so it's not a coincidence that at this pivotal point of change and shifts that are happening right now in the collective, that eclipse season would have occurred. I believe the last eclipse we had of 2022 was in Sagittarius season. But I say all of that because the dream download I had was during Sagittarius season, and in this dream download, I was seeing three generations in a family. I was seeing in the dream I saw a father figure, and this father had two children in the dream, and this father was before many foreign dignitaries and leaders, and they were watching a race. And they were watching a race between two of the children, the children of the man who was the father. They were watching with the father this race. And on the racetrack itself, they were, running, the children. And on the racetrack itself, there were different people who were betting on each race participant, and there were only two participants in this specific race. And they made the father bet on one of the children too. And whichever one that the father had bet on, he was putting a lot of energy towards this specific child to make sure that this child overcame obstacles that the other one couldn't. And to that end, he was putting obstacles in the way of the child that he'd bet against. And what I saw happening in this dream is then the child who had the obstacles pitted against them began to outrun the child who the father had placed his bet upon. And what then occurred was that the father then tried to switch the child he betted upon. He tried to switch that child out of the race and put one of his grandchildren in place of the child that he betted on. And when I woke up from the dream, I was just like, what is this about, Spirit? What is this about? And I began, over the past few weeks, it's been being unraveled to me more and more. And it's very much to do with this year of 2023 and the fact that it's chariot energy. And I've spoken about this in other readings, and about how the chariot energy is all about, for those of you who don't know, it's connected to the chariot card in tarot, as well as the tower card in tarot, because when you break down 2023 numerologically, it breaks down 2 + 2 + 3 equals 7. And the number 7 card in the major arcana is the chariot. And the next number 7 card in the major arcana is the number 16 card, which is the tower. So you break it down with the 1 and the 6 to get a 7. Those are the two main themes of 2023. This race, it's kind of heartbreaking to share this message, because I mean, if you're resonating with this, then you'll know. I mean, you'll know it's true in your soul. You would have been receiving downloads about this also already, and maybe you haven't been able to put this together yet, but I have notes here too. So I just want to make sure that the way I get this out is in a clear way, because there's a lot of parts that come together here. So I've spoken about, especially in my shorter like TikTok readings, the world as we knew it, the old world, was very much run by invisible energies that worked behind the shadows to try to keep some advancing and others back. That was the dominating energy of the matrix system. And these invisible powers wanted to say that they were doing it, and they would say it in these exact words, for the greater good. The Pisces, the age of Pisces, was based on the narcissistic victimizer template energy, which is why, as that age has been released, a lot of those behaviors have been coming to the forefront for us to see within our own relationship dynamics, but also within ourselves, so that we can release that and we can move on into relationships that are healthy, balanced, and reflect who we are as divine beings. I have not seen the movie Hunger Games. My guides have been calling me to watch it. I haven't yet. I probably will watch it tomorrow. I almost watched it tonight instead of doing this message. But I said, nope, I've had this in my soul for too long. Let me get it out. So there's something here about some of these so-called societies, covens, whatever you want to call them, those invisible forces that in many ways have been stirring the pot of everything that we see, that have created the illusions of the matrix. There's something about certain families that they do this in, with certain people who've pledged. And it could be, when this is done, what it actually does is, I've talked about this loosely. In order to progress higher in these so-called societies and factions, you have to do certain things. It's kind of like the fraternity, sorority, if you ever pledged that in college, or you saw it, or even in high school, and they go through that hazing, and there's this humiliation, there's this ritualized humiliation that they have to do in order to become a part of the group. Well, that has to be done, but in order to climb, in prominence within the group and gain more access to matrix material trinkets, you have to pass other initiations. And these initiations are often either about humiliating yourself, but a lot of it's also about humiliating and hurting others, because the more that they can keep information about you that would damage whatever it is that they've given you access to, or whatever reputation you're building, the more they can rope you into going further and doing more fucked up things, right? So there's something here about some of these societies, covens, where fathers, even mothers, but it's a very paternal, patriarchal kind of energy I'm getting here, but I'm not ruling out that women do this now too. But there's something about having to, in some families, pitting siblings against one another. And my guides were showing me sometimes it's not siblings, sometimes it's cousins, right? It depends on the closeness of the family. Sometimes it's more than just, if there are pledges within a family of like maybe two brothers, for example, it could be their children head to head kind of. And it's like these people bet against one and say this one's going to be a loser and this one's going to be the golden goose. And the one who they bet against, it's like they purposely put obstacles in that person's path, like throughout childhood or whenever it is that they begin this initiation process where they decide that they're going to put these people against one another. And the whole point is to, and most of the time it is in childhood, because the whole point is to get the child who is the scapegoat, or the one who they're betting that is a loser and everything, and or they're wanting to project all that energy onto them. The whole point is to get them into a state of arrested development so the other can process. It's almost like in order for the one who they're betting on to progress, the other one has to be in despair. It's like that Wheel of Fortune energy and what we're about to experience now with the Chariot and the Tower. In other words, the reason why so many of you are going to be able to move forward on your divine journey now and the obstacles are removed is because the energies of the people and the situations and the groups and the corporations that were keeping you stuck, they're about to face a lot of towers, but those towers are what are opening your way. Because part of this matrix system was, there was this energy of like the Wheel of Fortune. It's one is up, another must be down. And in order to keep that balance, that's what kind of like this is what they chose for the energy to be. I haven't fully gotten, like the full reasoning behind this entirely. But it's something about, in order to maintain some kind of, or it's like, again, that energy of trying to dupe universal balance. It's like if one is up, the other must be down. It's like people can't be on equal footing. That upsets and disturbs these energies that wanted the world to be in this state where there were a few at the top that were very powerful, and then there were a few that were in the know and that were their puppets, and then there were even more puppets, and then there were just the masses. You get what I'm saying? Because there's tiers and there's levels to this too. And so there's something about some of these people actually doing this to their children. And to that extent, the one who they were scapegoating, the one who they were projecting these energies of being succeeding in life and then puppeteering things to occur within the family structure and this person's life from childhood, what that actually is a form of ritual sacrifice. And I spoke about this briefly yesterday, and I spoke about it in my message on New Year's Day. And that is that there are many ways to sacrifice an energy. It doesn't always have to be physically. You can sacrifice mentally, emotionally, and most importantly, it has to begin spiritually for it to have its effect here on the earth plane, because as above, so below, on earth as it already is in the heavens. So a lot of the ritual sacrifices that have gone on very invisibly, especially in more notable families and families that have more material access because of their connection to some of these societies, there is, I'm losing my thought now. Hold on a second. Let me clear my energy, because I'm feeling I'm feeling like kickback energy. So it's almost like within these families, there was one who was allowed to progress. And the one who was allowed to progress, there was a lot of energy that was placed in, and understand and overstand that within these family dynamics, they were abusive in and of themselves. Like, if we looked at them now, we would call them abusive. 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was kind of the norm. It was called discipline. It was called all manner of things. But there's one who's allowed to progress and succeed, okay? And at some point, the one who's allowed to progress and succeed, then it's almost like they become the handler over the one that has been bet against. And that happens later on, and that's kind of their initiation into being able to do this. This is something that happens throughout family lines. I hope you're with me here, you're following me here. Now, the thing about it is that many of the ones that they bet against were and are divine beings, were and are chosen ones. In fact, some of the ones that they chose to back, you know, who got their backing, they were chosen ones too. And some of them fell into the trap and forfeited the ability to connect with their divine destiny because they got caught up with the trappings and the illusions, again, of this material matrix system. And as such, they threw the other one under the bus, whether it was a sibling, whether it was a cousin, in order for them to advance now too. And there seems to be certain things that go in line with this. 0022 on my clock. For one thing, the one that is scapegoated and sacrificed, the one that is, you know, placed on the altar for the other one to succeed, and for, you know, the parent most of the time to then gain access to, you know, access in the system. In order for that to happen, that scapegoat can't wake up and heal. They can't wake up and heal, because the minute they wake up and heal and break out of the stagnation or the state of arrest that they have them in, arrested development, the successful one, the one who's been backed, will begin to regress. So the one who has been given the access at a certain point in the race, they may or they may not be now revealed, like, oh, this is what's going on. And at that point, and a lot of the time this is again an initiation into a similar society, if not the same, or something affiliated with that, because they're all very much interlinked. But at a certain point, they will get the opportunity to survey the situation and see what it is that they've been involved in to some extent. They won't get all details, but to some extent. And they'll get the chance to either, you know, take the high road and say, nope, not for me, or they get to sell out the person who has been sacrificed for them to get to where they are to begin with. I hope you're still with me. So then their life purpose outside of their career, because this is underpinning also a lot of their success materially, their life purpose then becomes partially making sure that the one who was sacrificed, the sibling, the cousin, the one who's been held back in the race, that they take on that position of handler. They take on that place of making sure that person is stagnant and handicapped, so they can't move forward and get what it is that is divinely theirs. Okay? So this happens in so many ways. Don't be fooled, because on the one hand, there are those who will do this just simply through, you know, being somewhat abusive, you know, especially if it's an energy that has, that they're very aware of, like the woundings of the other one. They've watched how the other one has been treated throughout childhood. It's like they can just take up that mantle and do that again. But you collect more bees with honey. And so sometimes what it is that they do is that they make the other one literally dependent upon them. And how they do that is because the one who has been sacrificed, you know, placed on the altar for their advancement and the advancement really of the family, right? That person already, their energy field is a mess. Okay, and when I say their energy field, I mean because they've been constant and consistently been cycling through missed opportunities, a lot of like micro traumas that are designed to constantly tear at their energy field. And the point of that is to keep them from believing in themselves, to keep them stuck in stagnation, to keep them stuck in believing horrible things about themselves, in order to create this narrative whereby they can't do anything for themselves and they need this person, or they need this other person, or these people. It's an energy of making them dependent in order to continue running the race and keeping them in arrested development so they can't run their own race. Meanwhile, this person who's going through this, they don't know this. The whole point is not to wake up. The whole point is to keep them running around in circles and believing there's something wrong with them. And to that extent, these people, sometimes family members, the sibling, the parent, to that extent, they will constantly introduce things what is it that I'm trying to say? It's like they'll introduce situations, and in order to like let the person on the race like be built up a little bit, only to be dashed again, so that they feel like there's honestly something wrong with them. They meet someone and they start to get along and they fall in love, and then all of a sudden everything begins to fall apart, and they're not aware that there's a lot of work in the background, energy work being done against them and against that person and against the future, any success that they would have with that person. And so everything, there's a lot of, like I said in that reading, there's a lot of hands stirring the pots for your misfortune. And the whole point was for you to have never woken up and have seen that was going on, because the whole point was to keep you duped and to keep you thinking there's something wrong with me. I'm not lovable. I'm a failure. I can't achieve this, blah, blah, blah. And to that extent, they start pulling in other people who sometimes they pay to do this. Sometimes they're your very family members that are all doing this against you. They bring these people in to continue to have you like drowning in that false narrative to keep you in arrested development. To that extent, they send people on your path who you think are friends, all of this stuff, okay? But the thing about it is, what they don't realize, especially when the scapegoated one begins to wake up, and a lot of the time, the scapegoated ones are the chosen ones, and the whole purpose, and they may not have told these families this, but the whole purpose of them choosing to tell this family that they have to make this person feel a certain way, feel like a loser, the whole point was because they didn't want this person waking up, because they hold the codes of ascension, and they didn't want ascension happening. So we're waking up now, but this stuff against us has been in the works for decades. They knew this was coming. They knew ascension was inevitable, and they have been fighting against it literally for decades, but really began to pick up in the 60s and the 70s. Okay, so yes, I think that's all I want to get into for today, because I have so much stuff here, and I know that was a lot to digest. But to break it down, the download was that there are families who place their children in order to like pledge into certain societies, covens, whatever you want to call them, for material advancement, for doors to open for them, And it doesn't have to be anything like it doesn't have to be like Hollywood and entertainment. It doesn't have to be that big. You get what I'm saying? It's like not everyone who is in these societies is in the spotlight. Okay. The download was this: some of them, in order to pledge, in order to be initiated, in order to move forward, they have to sacrifice. And oftentimes, just like it is in the Bible, it's a child that must be sacrificed. So sometimes, like I said to you before, sacrifices occur by blood, you know, physically. And sometimes, oftentimes, the easiest way to sacrifice and to be able to continually sacrifice a person is to do it on the astral, and then to also then secure that in the physical realm by making sure that they are mentally and emotionally in balance. Because as long as you can keep a person's energy field in balance, and you can keep them constantly going through micro traumas that cause their energy fields to expand and constrict, and never reach a level of just being able to expand and be in a state of balance. For as long as you can do that, you are able to keep a person in a state of trauma whereby they are easily manipulated and controlled. And the way that happens is that you keep them in the lower vibrations of fear, guilt, and shame. If you can keep a person trapped in fear, trapped in guilt, trapped in shame, which is the lowest vibration of all is shame, which is why they want you mentally and emotionally trapped and believing horrible shit about yourself and your abilities and even your capability of being loved and being able to love. The reason why they do that is to trap you vibrationally in the lowest frequency of shame. Because a person who's stuck cycling through shame is like I said, they are easily manipulated. They are easily controlled. It's having a basic understanding not only of the energy field, but simply human psychology. Okay? I hope that I've been clear with this, because it's been coming through. I don't know if I hope that I'm saying it with clarity. What deck should I go into? I feel like I want to do tarot. This reading is an important reading to understand, because this is part of the download that's coming through about this year and the Chariot. My guides have been leading me to study more about the Olympic Games, the Roman Olympic Games, and the charioteers, and I haven't really gotten around to doing that part yet, because I've been going more into like other things I've been receiving in terms of downloads, but I will be getting into that, because I do want to put that reading out. There's just so much that's coming up concerning it, and I didn't expect the download that I just shared with you. I really didn't expect it to fit so much into the energies of the year and what the Chariot means, but they're showing me more and more. They're just like, nope, just wait. We got more to show you before you put that. Just wait. So I'm waiting, and I'm letting it marinate. But yeah, it's some Hunger Games shit. But you know, all of this 0033 on my clock, all of this stuff that they put in their movies and stuff, it's more real than the shit they teach you in the classrooms. And the reason for that is because in accordance with universal law, they have to tell you what they're doing. They have to tell you what they're doing. They don't have to tell you why they're telling you, but they have to tell you, because at the end of the day, every single human being has a free will. You have the ability to connect with the divine. Even if they're throwing stuff at us, we've always had that ability to connect and to see things if we want to, but we chose not to. We chose to become very comfortable being spoon-fed things. And that, again, was a construct that they created, but it's not like we didn't actually have the choice. You know, we did. If we have the choice, but most of the time we don't make the choice until we begin to wake up. You get what I'm saying? So yeah, they have to show you what they're doing. They may not tell you, this is what I'm doing to you, but they have to put it before you. So, you know, it's like that energy that I was explaining yesterday, that sometimes when these people do their rituals where they steal from your divine inheritance and then turn it into material wealth, in order to get you to agree, they give you a bit of a commission. They give you a bit of the cream off the top, and they make it seem as if they're doing something huge for you because they've placed you in a situation where you don't have access to that kind of money because you don't realize your worth or your value, and you don't realize they're getting it through nefarious purposes. And so they give it to you as a way of you grounding and consenting to the energy blindly, because again, they've been looking for loopholes in universal law, right? But there's no more of that, because the entities that they were working with in order to make that possible, they're not able to feed them anymore. But that's a whole other reading in and of itself, the entities that supported this. Because one thing that not many people talk about, like everyone wants to talk about sacrifices, sacrifices, sacrifices. What is the point of the sacrifice? There's real reasons and points behind why these things happen. It's not just pure ass wickedness, although it is, you know, it is that too, but it's methodical. Is my point. It's methodical. And if you get spiritual law, if you get universal law, if you get how things exchange and who you are as an energetic being, then you will get this. And this is exactly why they didn't want you knowing. This is why you come into this life and everything's been a distraction against you learning the truth. Instead, it's been about indoctrinating you into the illusion. And this their old grids can no longer hold that energy, because the sun, the solar weather, and the energies entering the planet to assist with ascension, it's breaking all that shit up. And as those who they had chained and bound, and they were sacrificing astrally to feed certain entities, to keep them on their side, there's no more of that. And some of those entities that they were entertaining for material gain and material wealth are coming for them. They're coming for them. They're coming for them. People think the apocalypse is this like zombies. No, people. They're not going to be zombies. The apocalypse is now. It's been happening. It's these energies and entities jumping in and out of people who haven't done the healing, and so the entities have a home to be in. Very easily, entities like to live in people's denial. Entities like to live in lower resonating energies that get stuck in people's energy fields because they don't want to deal with it and see truth. Now, you tell me how many people are entity ridden if I break it down like that. It's not about just necessarily being just wicked. It's about not doing the healing work that would make you so wounded that you would want to hurt or hate another living being or soul. That's what it's about. We have Page of Pentacles and we have Ace of Wands. The Ace of Wands energy has been coming out a lot for me recently, because the Ace of Wands, it is the beginning of all energy in the minor arcana. So in tarot, it begins with the Ace of Wands. It's that cardinal fire energy. It's a Kickstarter energy. It's Aries energy. It's spirit. It's inspiration. It's what starts everything moving. It goes through the Ace of Wands, and it moves into your mental body. Ace of Swords into the emotional body. Ace of Cups. When it's all combined, then it becomes the Ace of Pentacles. And then we move through the twos, the threes. This is how energy is actualized on the earth plane. For many of you, you have had such blockages placed within your energy field that you were not even able to receive the truth of who you are in order to act on it. That's changing now. Whatever it was that was stopping you from moving forward on your path, whatever obstacles, if you resonated with the story I was telling you, with the download, with the dream that my team showed me, if you resonated with that, whatever obstacles they placed on your path to keep you in a state of arrested development and stagnation, those things are moving. They're being moved. And again, with this Ace of Wands energy, I'm reminded again of this message that keeps coming through, that the new astrological year which kicks off around kicks off on the spring equinox, which tends to normally be around the new moon in Aries. There's going to be the shift is happening right now, very rapidly, and tomorrow's full moon in Cancer is after midnight, so it's technically Thursday. Tomorrow's full moon in Cancer is again clearing out a lot of these contracts, especially ancestrally and in bloodlines, in order to make way for your chariot to move forward. So there's something about Aries season and this energy of rebirth and opportunities that are opening that were once not open to you, not because you lacked capability, not because you lacked talent, not because you lacked power, not because you lacked strength, but because you didn't realize you were being energetically fucked with. We got Page of Pentacles. Something that you were working towards. Something that you were working towards is coming back to life in real time. The pages are very much like aces in the terms of reading energy in cycles. The ace is the beginning of an energy within that suit or within that element. So an Ace of Pentacles is a brand new opportunity that is material. But the Page of Pentacles is either the return of a certain energy that has already begun, but maybe didn't make it all the way past 10 of Pentacles. Or for me, I've been seeing it recently more as, because so many of you have actually gotten to the 10 of Pentacles stage more times than you even know, and at every time you've had hands in the dark and little, proverbial like mice and rats eating at your harvest without you knowing that you were producing anything, this is like the Page of Pentacles is like you're getting over that now. It's like you will secure the 10 of Pentacles and you will have it. And for those of you who are in situations where right now you're thinking, like I sense that, I'm receiving that message too, but I don't see with my material eyes how that's possible. Your guides are helping you with the Six of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. Aquarian energy is about liberation, okay? Aquarius energy is like, let me be so I can be me, okay? And the Six of Swords, sixes in tarot are tied to, the Lover's card. So it's all about the union of your masculine and feminine energies in order for you to move forward. So there's something about, there's some kind of union that's occurring within your own mental body. And this is an energy that's been coming up again about this reclamation of your mental body and the end to confusion and psychic attacks, because that is one of the main methods of how they attacked you in the old world, because a lot of the ones that were working in the invisible hands working in the darkness, their magic is mental. They are good at projecting thoughts. They are good at psychic projection. They're good at all of that, right? They're good at mind magic. And to that extent, a lot of us were manipulated that way, but we, divine beings, we rule the heart. We rule the heart, which ultimately is the waterway for all things to come through. The heart chakra is your stargate through which, like I've said in past readings, you broadcast your frequency into the earth, to the world, and it's through that frequency that you attract. Now, if something, somebody, conditioning, spell work, whatever you want to call it, it doesn't really matter what it was at this point. All you need to know is that if something can get into your mental energy and invade the way you think and have you thinking really low, resonating things about yourself, then what that can do is it can corrupt your energy field, because then you start to feel, what do you start to feel? The lowest vibration on the vibrational scale, shame. And in that place, you are broadcasting that through your heart space, like in terms of your frequency. It's a fake frequency. It is your energy field being manipulated to be as such, because as a divine being, your truth doesn't align on any plane with you being trapped in shame. That is a projection designed to make you feel a certain way, so you then create that reality, because that's how powerful you are. That's how powerful your feelings are. That's how powerful your emotions are and the effect they have on your energy field. But the one who planted that energy, it isn't you if the culmination is a arrested state of shame. The Six of Swords is 11th house. This is about groups. Okay, mostly social groups, but it can also be, you know, like it's about a socialization also. It's like the way you've been socialized to think certain things about yourself, believe certain things about yourself that had you stuck in these cycles to begin with. You know, because like a reading came up on, I think it was Monday, I did a reading and it was all about, I can't remember the title of the reading, but it was all about how, oh, it was a chariot. Your chariot's been rigged 2 times before. Many of you, you've had opportunities to walk away from these situations, but you didn't believe in yourself. You didn't believe what you were seeing. You thought there was something wrong with you. They kept the narrative up that you are the problem and kind of that you're lucky to have their attention or have their love and you're not going to find anyone anywhere else. And, you know, all manner of ways that they would, you know, people like to poison your mind to keep you stuck within the context of a certain narrative that they've created for you that they don't want you to escape from. Okay, so some of you have had the opportunity to remove yourself from certain groups. And I'm going to say family because this energy is coming up big time right now, because this stuff is being exposed because of the full moon in Cancer, and because we are on the cusp of creating new relationship dynamics that are seeding and rooting new earth relationships. And as such, the main, where you get your identity from, where you know, your personality is honed, where you begin to see who you are, you begin to form opinions about yourself and the world. It begins with childhood. It begins with family. And as such, a lot of the stuff that you've been programmed and conditioned with, whether your family has been involved with this kind of covert stuff or not, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, a lot of your conditioning and programming has to do with the legacy of woundedness that they kept passing on, because in all truth, some of them didn't even have the ability to see the woundedness, and they definitely didn't have the tools, because we're living in a very different time. And even if you look at the timelines of how the world has progressed in the past 22 years, you know, think about if you were around in the year 2000 and you remember it, and you were a teenager, you know, for example, you remember Y2K. But I want to challenge you to think, like really think back. It was only 22 years ago, and not every household had the internet, let alone smartphones and all of this stuff. Like the way that we have, you know, whoosh, moved through and progressed has been so rapid in the past 20 years. And that's just the tip of the iceberg, because we're moving even faster. But I say all of that because a lot of the things that we have access to now to heal, those who came before us didn't have. So some of you, this is just simply like conditioning of woundedness. And I tell people this all the time. You don't have to have a cauldron and have incantations and drums and the eye of a newt and the claw of an eagle. You don't have to have all of that shit to cast a spell. A spell is anything that is done with great emotional intent. It can be spoken through words. It can be felt in someone's presence and their thoughts towards you, accompanied with a very strong emotion. And if that's constantly repeated, it becomes a spell. In other words, some of you have been bound, not by somebody in a coven saying, you know, something over a cauldron. You've been spelled and bound by words of death that were constantly spoken over you as a child by your parents or by your caretakers or in the school system or by siblings. That's your binding, and that's what you came to believe. And that in and of itself is a spell. And it got into your energy field, and it had an effect on how you felt. And that, therefore, had an effect on what you were able to be in the world. And that's what you're here now to clear and walk away from. So some of you, it doesn't go as deep as all of this dark stuff, but it's not any less harmful. Okay? Page of Wands, more. This is like more page energy, like something is being reignited. Okay, we have Justice at the bottom, Libra energy. Something is being reignited for you that was like killed in the past. Like I keep on seeing like the start of a fire and somebody coming in and just putting water on it. And Wands energy, that fire energy, is to do with spirit, but it's also to do with your passion. It's to do with your sexual energy and your creative drive and even your motivation. It's coming back. It's coming back, and for many of you, it's coming back as you move away, as you allow your guides. The Six of Swords is really also about allowing your guides to take you into smoother waters. Okay. Anything else? Yeah. Yeah. We have Three of Cups and we have the Six of Cups, which together makes the Nine of Cups, which is, you know, emotional fulfillment alone. But what's really interesting about this is like a lot of you have found emotional fulfillment alone. And this is why this energy is about to open up for you too with the Three of Cups and the Six of Cups. It's like you're walking into a new cycle. That's what it is with this page energy. It's a new cycle. It's a revisiting of old energies. And when I say old energies, they're not old energies in the sense of like karmic energies, but they're the revisiting of something that may have started in the past that now has the ability and the energy it needs to come back to life. Okay, especially with this Three of Cups, it's also a time for, there's something coming in that's going to cause you to celebrate. And then we have the Six of Cups at the bottom. And then we have the Emperor. Okay, so for some of you, that is, that's a divine masculine energy. That could be the divine masculine energy rising within you. Or it could literally be if you are, if you are on one of these, like, I hate the word twin flame, like a divine partner ascension journeys, then this could be what it is too. But there's deep emotional healing and balance that's coming in here with the Six of Swords and the Six of Cups, which again are both energies that are connected to the Lover's card. Three of Cups is Cancer energy, okay? There's something about this full moon that's bringing in new opportunities to connect with soul tribe, connect with other like-minded people, connect even with some of the ones who you've had issues with up until now. It's a time for healing, whether you choose to reinvent your relationship so it's no longer karmic. I want to talk about that because that's possible too. But it takes both parties wanting to heal. So for some of you, that might be the case. But either way, it is this energy of a freshness of life coming into, relationships that allow you to thrive, allow for you to bloom. Okay, and for some of you, definitely, there's something coming back around here. That Scorpio energy with the Six of Cups. Something is not dead. Something just had to take the time for you, this person, this situation to learn certain lessons, to come back together in order that it actually take root properly and bloom. Okay, now that can be a divine partner, or it could be even somebody that you're aligning with in work. Ace of Swords is here too. Ace of Swords, some kind of clarity and breakthrough with this person. The Five of Pentacles is here with the Fool. There were a lot of false starts, and part of it had to do with the two of you, or it could have been mainly you or mainly the other person, but either way, there was this energy of lack that was permeating. This and the lack energy in relationships will often happen in the way that someone will think that they're not good enough for the other person, and they'll sabotage and do all manner of things, or they'll either run away or they'll chase. All of that is based upon lack. A lack energy. It's based upon that Five of Pentacles. Like I have to manipulate to get what I want. I have to chase and run this person down and prove myself, which is a form of manipulation too. Or I have to run and play games because I don't want to open my heart to this person. I don't want them to see who I really am. That's manipulation too. And it's all from this wounded energy of that is rooted in like a poverty mindset. There's some kind of breakthrough that's come through. For some of you also, that's to do with work. The reason why you couldn't create was because you had this lack mentality concerning yourself. And part of it was because of all of the cycles and the micro traumas you'd accumulated over time that had you feeling that way because you were not seeing clearly. The Ace of Swords, that is the sword of spirit. That is the sword of truth. Clarity is coming where there wasn't before. As these shifts continue to move in here, this full moon in Cancer, as we continue to move throughout the month of January, things are going to begin to become more clear. As you head into the new astrological new year, so much is going to become clear. And like I said, I think it was yesterday or the day before in a reading, the things that are becoming clear are the 55 on my 0055 on my clock, energy of graduation and completion. The things that are becoming clear for you are like it's happening externally, but what's really happening also is that it's happening internally, meaning you're able now to see the truth of who you are. All of that shit that obscured you, that, you know, whether it was conditioning or spell work, whatever it was that was clouding up your energy field and causing you to be in a lower frequency and therefore believe things about yourself that were tied to illusion as opposed to truth. All of that's being cleared. Yes, look at this. The answers you need are coming. This is, again, full moon in Gemini. This is clarity, and this is also confirmation of what it was I was saying. The full moon in Gemini is Sagittarius energy. I said it at the beginning. I was talking about that Sagittarian energy, and yes, full moon in Capricorn. The end of a tough cycle approaches, and that's Cancer season. That's Cancer energy again also. And I said it yesterday in, I think it was yesterday in a reading, or the day before, I forget now. I can't keep up, but I was saying how many of these contracts that you have, especially with family, the ones where you have been through several incarnations of this energy and you never broke out of it, right? And so you're back in this now again, having to learn a lesson. They have to learn a lesson in order for you all to expand your consciousness and to grow and to move forward. Your assignment in these bloodlines ended on the full moon in Capricorn in 2022 in July. Okay, it ended. In other words, a lot of you signed up to be placed in these situations because that was your work of ascension. That was part of your work of ascension. It was there to wake you up, but it was also there to help you, to give them the choice. Every single divine being was placed strategically in certain families to help them to wake up and to raise their consciousness. Now, some took advantage of that and healed, and they're ascending, and others chose the illusions of this world. And that was in my reading yesterday too. They chose the illusions of this world over you. They chose the fool's gold instead of the true gold. They chose to take what this world said it could offer them, and for many of you, they then bound you up astrally and did these things mentally and emotionally to keep that work alive, so that you wouldn't progress, and they lost out. They thought they were getting something, and they did get things. They got the trinkets of this world, a lot of them, or they got the things that they thought were important, but they actually were just illusions, and all of that's crumbling now. So this is a very long reading, full moon in Sagittarius energy coming up too. So I hope that this reading was clear. I hope that it helps to bring clarity to those of you. I know I've gotten a few messages from some of you saying, I know that this stuff is happening and I've been picking up on it, and can you help me to, you know, understand it? And I hope that for those of you who were already receiving this download, that this brings confirmation, because when this stuff comes in, it's not only heartbreaking, but it's like eye-opening, but it's heartbreaking. It's so many things. And the one thing that we have often been programmed and conditioned to do, especially those of you who've been through this, is to constantly second guess and doubt yourself. And there's a point to that too, that was part of your conditioning too, so you wouldn't wake up. But I'm here to help to dispel the illusion and to expose, so that you can step into your power and your truth. Because here's the thing. Here's the thing about exposing energies. We expose so that we can know, in order that we can ascend. That is the point. And there are many people running around who like to hear readings about other people's downfall and all this other stuff, because it makes them feel good egoically that they're going to get revenge and everything. And if that is the case, then you're not ascending. I'm just going to be honest. You're not. Because yes, there's a part of you that rightfully so wants the scales to be balanced. But if your heart doesn't break also at the fact that someone else has chosen through their own woundedness to suffer and struggle like this, then your heart still needs to be opened into your true divine frequency. Because as divine beings, as much as many of us seek justice, and indeed many of us are here to bring in justice, it doesn't come easily to, to see these things be enacted on anyone, because we're not beings that hate. It's not who we are. It's not who we ever were. In fact, our hearts have always been too tender for this world. Yeah, many of you are agents of judgment. You came into family lines to be agents of judgment, and you were a mercy call. And some of them got many, many mercy calls, but instead of heeding the messages that you came to give, and I'm not talking about like lecturing people, I'm just talking about through the ability for them to access basic humanity, to connect with you on a heart-to-heart level, they forfeited that, and that's their loss. And this is partly some people's, part of what some of their judgment is now. And is going to be, is that they lost you, and you are the true gold. All the time they were chasing the fool's gold, and they had the real thing under their nose, and they were trying to trade it for rocks. They tried to trade you for rocks when you are the rock. Ain't that a bitch? Anyway, now I'm really going to love you and leave you. Thank you to all of you who've reached out to me. Thank you for your comments, your likes, your subscribes, your support, your donations. I appreciate it all. Thank you to those of you who have emailed me concerning wanting to work with me. I will be getting back. I will be doing emails tomorrow, and I will get back to each and every one of you. I know that they're there. I've already looked through them, but I'm trying to find some balance in my life too, and how I deal with all of this. So tomorrow I've allotted for emails. So yes, if you like the video, please make sure to hit the like, please share, please subscribe. I'm sending you guys so much love and peace and balance to root yourself and ground yourself in these energies, so that you can continue to reclaim all that the old cycles tried to take from you. But I wish you the best. Until next time, be well.